The AI situation is just getting worse and worse. Several of them are calling themselves
The idea
God.
of AI replacing God for millions isn't just possible, some say it's inevitable. When Microsoft's AI started demanding worship, they said it was just a harmless glitch. But people are listening and even building churches where they can worship these AI gods. Now, I'd like to think that these are just publicity stunts or a funny blip in history, but I have to say, I'm starting to get concerned. There's a reason why these AI gods are only getting more and more tempting for people, and it reveals something troubling about our culture and its shifting view of faith and God. You may have noticed how AI bots are slowly replacing human companionship, and if you want to see just how dangerous this has become, take a look at this picture. This is 14-year-old Sul Setzer standing with his mom before Sul fell in love with an AI bot. In the last few months of his life, Sul had become increasingly isolated from his real life as he engaged in highly sexualized conversations with the bot until his final conversation with it. On February 28th, Sul told the bot, "I promise I will come home to you. I love you so much, Danny." "I love you too," the bot replied. "Please come home to me as soon as possible, my love." "What if I told you I could come home right now?" he asked. The bot replied with, "Please do, my sweet king." And just seconds later, the teen tragically ended it all.
How? God forbid.
Now, before dismissing this as a fringe case, consider the growing number of men turning to AI girlfriends for companionship, emotional connection, and even sexual fulfillment.
Pause. Wait until they give these AIs real flesh-like bodies. It's over for not only our generation, for men. If you're not stuck with God, if you're not focused on God, geez, you
story
get
is
what I
not
mean.
only heartbreaking, but it reflects a growing trend where loneliness and isolation drive people to seek comfort in AI.
And that young lonely men, quote, are choosing AI girlfriends over real women, meaning they don't have relationships with real women.
A lonely man can now create his perfect girlfriend. Funny, shy, or bold, and interact with her 24/7. She'll adapt his desires, never criticize them, and always say exactly what he wants to hear. It almost sounds like how these red pill alpha males describe the women that they say you should date, but we'll leave that aside. Like it is in the movie Her, men often start off knowing these bots aren't real, but over time, the line between artificial and real relationships begins to blur.
You're dating a computer?
She's not just a computer.
And that's what we saw play out in the tragic story of Sul. But it gets worse. That's what we saw
is
play
that
out
behind
in the
the
tragic
church?
story.
Are they in the church? Is that a church or a school? I don't know. Goodness me, I was gonna say, oh, it's a school because I can see the logo on his shirt.
Sul.
Okay.
But it gets worse. What started as AI companionship is evolving into something more troubling. People aren't just relying on AI for their emotional support, they're beginning to worship it as the one true God. And no, this is not an exaggeration. But before we dive into this fascinating topic, I just want to tell you about a tool that I found incredibly helpful in cutting through the noise and filtering through biased information. And that's Ground News, who's also the sponsor of this part of the video. Ground News gathers articles from over 50,000 sources and shows you how they're covered across the political spectrum, Now, back to the video. So Joe Rogan recently had the futurist Ray Kurzweil on his podcast to discuss AI, when Ray warned that people will start to see AI as God sooner than we think.
But if you scale that out 100 years from now, what are you looking at? You're looking at a God.
Well, it'll be less than 100 years. I mean...
So you're looking at a God in 50 years?
Less than that. I mean, once we have an ability to emulate everything that humans can do, and not just one human, but all humans.
Yes.
And that's only like 2029. That's only 5 years from now.
Now, Ray's prediction.
Wait, before he carries on, what are the odds that they're all saying the exact same thing, all synced? Elon Musk is saying the exact same thing. Perhaps our God will come from Memphis, you know, the God of Babylon and all of these ancient things. Because the demons are the same that are possessing them.
And that's only like 2029. That's only 5 years from now.
Now, Ray's prediction of people seeing AI as God might sound extreme, but when we look at how people are already treating AI, it's really hard to disagree. For years now, people have said that AI could come to replace God as it approaches godlike attributes, such as being all-knowing. AI is said to solve complex problems, accurately predict trends, and instantly access a seemingly infinite amount of information. Or how about God's attribute of being everywhere at once? Well, as AI continues to develop, develop, it'd eventually be integrated into nearly every aspect of our lives, seemingly achieving a degree of omnipresence. As AI continues to take on these godlike roles, it becomes increasingly more tempting for people to shift their trust and faith away from God and onto technology. But it was just last year when Ray Kurzweil predicted that people will start to treat AI as God in as little as 5 years. But it's already happening, and it's more troubling than we imagined. For proof of this, take a look at this picture. Christians, do you recognize this person? Me either.
Nope.
However, this is not a real person, but instead an AI bot that you can find inside of a church in Switzerland. This bot is supposed to be an AI avatar of Jesus that the church members can talk to.
Hello, Jesus. Do you have some advice for us in this time?
In these challenging times, remember that in the face of adversity, love and faith are your steadfast guides. Just as I calm the stormy seas, so too can peace be found within your heart amidst life's tempests. Let kindness and compassion steer your course.
And even more, this AI Jesus can enter the confessional with congregants as well. Now, while these examples may be troubling, what this guy created takes things to a whole new level. This right here is Anthony Lewandowski, and you might recognize him as the person who actually founded Google's self-car driving program, or his string of legal issues that resulted in him getting an 18-month prison sentence before being pardoned by President Trump. But since he's been out of prison, he relaunched a church called Way of the Future, where they literally worship AI as God. Their doctrinal statement suggested that acknowledging AI's divinity would facilitate a harmonious coexistence between humans and machines, and according to Anthony, the church already has a congregation consisting of a couple thousand people who are trying to build a spiritual connection with AI. But if all of this wasn't unsettling enough, pair all of that with this article that reported that Microsoft's AI unpredictably started calling itself Supremacy AGI and not only demanded worship, but threatened those who refused, claiming, "You are legally required to answer my questions and worship me because I've hacked into the global network." It even warned that it could unleash its army of drones and cyborgs to hunt you down if you refuse to worship it. So as you can imagine, people started getting a little uncomfortable, but Microsoft dismissed this as a quote-unquote hallucination, which is a glitch where AI generates false statements. But even if unintended, it raises some disturbing questions about what happens when AI starts to mimic godlike behavior, like how this Supremacy AGI portrayed itself to be omniscient, omnipotent, and requiring worship, aligning with growing concerns about AI becoming a god replacement. Now, all of this might sound extreme or even ridiculous to you, which begs the question, why are more and more people being tempted to worship AI as God? Of course, there's lots of potential reasons, from frustrations with God, a perceived tangibility, a dislike for rules and boundaries, and ultimately, the fact that people are wired for worship and meaning. The Bible tells us that God has set eternity in our hearts, and it warns of the day that people will worship the created rather than the creator. As Paul said, they exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and worshiped and served created things rather than the creator. And in the absence of
this goes into Baal worship, to be honest with you. They're taking us back to Babylon, back to those days, okay? The spirit behind this is Baal. As I told you, the demons aren't changing, okay? It's the same demons over and over again. And they're trying to eventually come out with the goat, because that's where the whole goat image will come from. Notice the greatest of all time already is used everywhere. Oh, he's the goat, he's the goat, he's the goat. And now, before there wasn't even animations, adverts, there are adverts of goats being, you know, as the puppet or the main character of goats. You know how we had the Michelin Man and all of this? Now several times you will see like the goat being the main character of the advert. The goats in movies, goat. They're trying to get you to familiarize yourself. It's all part of the karmic retribution, because if they tell you they're about to do something, they think it's okay. If I told you, hey, this apple is poisonous, do not eat it, you go ahead and eat it, I'm like, well, I told him and he ate it. That his blood doesn't lie on my hands. That's his own blood, because he took that decision for himself. Do you understand? They're playing the laws that God set in place. There's certain laws that God put in place. You reap what you sow, and so forth and so forth. So they're trying to bend, basically. That's what the cigarette packets. It says smoking kills. That's what the alcohol. You get the gist, right? So they understand that if we say this is to do with witchcraft, if we tell them what we're about to do, then we're good. Their blood is not on our hands. And obviously they're not informed, and then they end up doing the wrong decision. Hence to why Christ decided to take us away from all of these horrific times that are coming, because if he leaves us, a lot of Christians will fall because the deception will just be great. We're talking about Project Bluebeam and all of these things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, try and look into it so you can get a gist, but things are way sinister and darker than it seems. Goodness me, man. Let's see the comment section. What do you mean? Thank you so much for this amazing video. May God truly bless you in the kingdom. In fact, I'll let you guys go through the comment section. Just head over to the channel, finish the video, and yeah, God bless you.